Married life didn't slow them down. It only added more color to their already vibrant lives. Ban Chigu had always said he felt like a drifter before Suliai. Now he called her his anchor and his muse. He released a mini-album titled Half of My Home shortly after their honeymoon. Each song was a letter to her, some playful, some raw, all deeply intimate. Track 2, Aprons and Morning Light, became a quiet anthem for newlyweds across South Korea. The lyrics, describing burnt toast, paint-stained pajamas, and soft laughter over miso soup, were lifted straight from their mornings together. Meanwhile, Suliai began working on her first graphic novel. Unlike her past abstract pieces, this one was a deeply personal illustrated memoir, following a girl who falls in love with a musician in a world where everyone wears masks, except the two of them. She called it Unmasked. Fans instantly knew it was about Chigu. But rather than exploit their relationship for fame, the couple remained thoughtful and grounded. They never did flashy interviews or reality shows. Instead, they hosted a podcast once a month called Chapters of Us, where they talked about love, creativity, and even conflict, normalizing the imperfections of real relationships. "I hated you last Wednesday," Suliai once confessed on the podcast, laughing. "You ate the last tteokbokki and lied about it." "I repented," Chigu replied, dramatically, by buying her 10 portions the next day. No love story is without trials. For Chigu and Suliai, the third year of their marriage tested every promise they'd made. Chigu lost his voice. Literally. After developing vocal nodules, he had to undergo surgery and faced months of silence during recovery. For a man who'd lived his life expressing emotion through song, the silence was devastating. Suliai, too, struggled. Her art felt empty without his presence in the room humming or making coffee offbeat. She tried to stay strong for him, but the weight of being his emotional anchor began to show. "I'm scared I'll lose everything," he wrote to her one night on a chalkboard they kept in the kitchen. She read it, then picked up the chalk. "You haven't lost me." Those 5 words got him through the darkest days. During his recovery, she started painting every day again, this time with a twist. Her canvas was the inside of their home. Every wall slowly turned into a mural. Their living room became a forest. The hallway became a subway station. The bathroom? A starry galaxy with constellations that spelled out their initials. When Chigu could finally speak again, the first words he said were, "How is it that I fell in love with you twice, once before I married you, and now all over again?" On their 5th wedding anniversary, Chigu decided to surprise Suliai with something he'd been secretly planning for over a year. He had bought a small building in Jeju Island, a quiet, artistic town filled with wind, waves, and wonder. He turned it into a creative retreat space for artists, writers, and musicians. He named it Our Garden, inspired by her old painting, Blue Garden. She was stunned when he revealed it. The entire space was filled with their shared memories, drawings, lyrics, quotes from their podcast, old vinyl records, and even the original Murakami book where he had hidden the engagement ring. "I thought we could grow things here," he said. "Not just art. Dreams. Community. Us." It became more than a retreat. It became a sanctuary for countless young creatives who followed their journey. The couple would spend 2 weeks every month in Jeju, offering workshops, mentoring artists, and sometimes just cooking meals for strangers who became lifelong friends. Fame faded, as it always does. But their love didn't. Ban Chigu began producing music for up-and-coming artists instead of performing. He said, "There's more satisfaction in helping others find their voice now." Suliai published 3 books and hosted art therapy sessions. Her goal was to use art to heal emotional trauma in youth. They adopted a rescue dog named Murakami, yes, after the author, and a stubborn but lovable cat named Miso. Evenings were sacred in their home. They had a ritual: no phones, no work, just a candlelit dinner, sometimes instant ramen, sometimes gourmet, and a journal they passed between each other, taking turns writing letters, poems, or simple gratitude lists. One entry from Suliai read, "You are still the painting I never want to finish. Each day, I find a new color in you." Though they'd avoided media attention for years, they made a rare public appearance on the 10th anniversary of their first meeting. A Seoul-based art and music museum held a joint exhibition titled The Art of Us. The exhibit featured original sketches by Sulei inspired by moments in their marriage, songs by Chigu that were never released, only played once in special listening rooms, a recreation of their cafe wedding with voiceovers from their podcast playing in the background, and most touching, a room called The Break and the Return, detailing the time they almost broke up and how they chose each other again. The exhibit shattered attendance records. Visitors described it as walking through a living love story. A 17-year-old girl told a journalist, "I used to think true love didn't exist anymore. But now I think maybe it's just quieter than I expected." Years passed. Their hair grayed, Sulei first proudly, and Chigu joked that her silver streak made her look like a warrior from a fantasy novel. They never had children, though they talked about it often. Instead, they mentored hundreds of young artists, many of whom referred to them as Yama and Appa of art. They traveled often, Florence, Kyoto, Lisbon, Buenos Aires, documenting their adventures in journals and paintings. But no matter how far they went, they always returned to Seoul for spring and Jeju for autumn. One evening, while watching the sunset over their Jeju retreat, Sulei turned to Chigu and asked, "Do you think we've lived a good story?" He replied, "We didn't just live it. We wrote it. Together." Ban Chigu passed away in his sleep at age 83. Peaceful, full heart, no regrets. He left behind hundreds of songs, journals, love notes, and a letter titled, "If you find this, I'm gone." In it he wrote, "Don't cry for me. I had the rarest gift, time with you. I hope they bury me with your first painting of us. I'll be humming your name in the wind, and when you paint again, I'll be the color that makes you pause." Sulei lived another 11 years. She continued to paint every day. Her final gallery show was titled Letters to the Sky. At its center was a massive canvas filled with layered brushstrokes, twilight blues, sunbeam yellows, and deep rose golds. When asked what it meant, she simply smiled and said, "It's how it felt to be loved."